Alright then, folks. What the shit is a T54 Heavy Tank? Well, it should be the predecessor to the T54 E1, the oscillating turret with a autoloader for a patent tank, but this should have a conventional turret with an autoloader, like the E2, but the E2 has a 20-year-old loading the gun, so she'll have an autoloader, she'll have a 105, but this thing is 120, and it's a larger turret, so also a single shot, but I guess Wargaming is running out of ideas to sell us premium tanks, but it's practically a larger, slightly T54 E2 Renegade at tier 9, and premium nonetheless too, so it's like this, but at tier 9, slightly slower and different stats, but like we need more premium American heavy tanks. I have 6 at tier 8, not to include tier 5s or tier 7s. Okay. Also not including the special tier 9s as well. So your American heavy tank crew is getting pretty buff with all the crew trainers. So especially for mine, which I use Chuck, of course, Chuck Norris and all the super beefed up crew from Battle Pass. So these guys are pretty jacked. But hey, you need more crew trainers? Wargaming gotcha. So let's take a look at the stats. But 120mm single shot with a human loader, a 20-year-old, but 240mm of pin for AP, which is below average but workable. Gold shell is 320, which is pretty hefty. High explosive anti-tank, does not drop off or does not drop penetration in terms of distance, and high explosive is high explosive, but this alpha is more in line with something like the M5 or the Chieftain hybrid, so packs more punch compared to the average 400 alpha, so it's pretty chunky of a hit point take. And 13 seconds of reload is more reminiscent of something a Russian 122 at high tiers, so it's more of a punch of a 120, but 2 seconds of aim time is pretty good. That is quick. 0.38 accuracy, average, it's workable. With vents and a good crew, you could get it down to 0.38 or 3.5, which is not half bad. But 12 degrees of gun depression, 20 elevation, pretty good. So yeah, does more on a ridge line, hiding the large commander cupola, the M1 commander cupola. That is the bang of all freaking American tanks. Ammo capacity is only 40 rounds compared to the 45 or 42 on the Renegade, but it's alright. AP, high explosive anti-tank, and high explosive. Normal crew loadout for all the heavy tanks. Top speed of only 34. Reverse is pretty good, 17, but it is somewhat slow, so you could put a turbocharger, but they did not classify which type of heavy tank this is. It could be a breakthrough heavy tank or versatile heavy tank, depends, but horsepower per ton ratio is 14.5. Slightly lower than the Renegade, but still decent. Hull traverse, heavy tank 24, turret traverse 25, heavy tank. It is not as squirrely as the Renegade or the E2. So going towards the E2, you can see that it has less hull traverse and turret traverse right here, less top speed and less horsepower per ton ratio. This thing could go to 45 without a turbocharger. So it has more pin, more alpha, about the same DPM, close enough, but faster aim time and about the same accuracy. So you'll feel right at home if you already have a E2 or the Renegade, but 1700 hit points, American armor, so some parts are 254, some parts are like 100 or 150 for the cupola or something, but side armor is always the same, about 3 inches or 2.5, 76mm. View range is 400, radio is standard. Alright, I mean, it's a E2 at tier 9 where it should be, but okay. Yeah. So with the 100% crew, oh, it's a versatile heavy tank. So the same as the AE Phase 1 or the M103. Not the same with the Concept 1B, but let's take a look at the in-game stats. So with the 100% crew, you can get 0.36 accuracy and 1.9 seconds of aim time, which is pretty good. DPM is about in line with the Renegade at tier 8. So then again, you could put a rammer and that will bump it up to about 2500 or 2400 or so, but it has more punch without exposing your large ass cupola, so that's the plus. But horsepower per ton ratio is 14.46, slower than the Renegade, but camo is pretty crap. 3.19%. That is god awful. You'll be spotted, so nothing to say there. But weighs about 56 tons. Let's see how heavy the E2 is. 50 tons. So yeah, the extra tonnage comes from the larger turret, as expected. But yeah, worse camo compared to the E2. E2 has that much more view range? It has 10 more meters of view range. What? How is this thing not nerfed? It's at tier 8. It has about the same DPM. Less penetration, of course, but hey. Alright, so versatile heavy tank like the M103 or the AE Phase 1. So we'll go over the equipments and field modifications, but yeah, the same for this page. Crew of 4. Commander is also the radio operator, so that's also in line with the E2, also in line with the AE Phase 1, yep, or the M103. Actually, M103 has 2 loaders, but yeah, small difference. Alright. 40 rounds. Shell velocity for AP is not bad, 1070 meters per second. High explosive anti-tank flies slower than the AP round, and the high explosive is 900, so average-ish. But yeah, this gold shell is pretty decent in terms of penetration. I think the actual gold shell for something like the M103 is not as high of a pin, but actually never mind. It's 340. Oh, it will go through, but it doesn't have as much alpha as, yeah, well, this thing has more DPM. Yeah, compared to pseudo E2 of a heavy tank. Yeah, it has a lot more DPM for the M103, no doubt. Yeah, a lot more DPM. But compared to the AE Phase 1, yeah, AE Phase 1 has less DPM, but it has a lot more reliable of a turret front compared to the T54 Heavy Tank, so give or take. But would you rather have more DPM than a strong turret? That's the main question. Alright, fine, whatever. They don't show you the terrain resistance, so that's unfortunate. Yeah, they don't show you. They don't have the mod installed. Everything looks normal, like really normal. The same gun is not shared on any other vehicle, so it's the 120 of its kind. And other stats are pretty much marginal, the same as the usual, but yep, nothing out of the ordinary. But it is a premium. It will make more credits and crew XP and normal XP or free XP if you want it. But how do I feel about this thing? It's oh, let's talk about the equipment. So vents, vertical stabilizer, and rammer. We do not know the dispersion of moving the vehicle's hull or the turret affecting the gun performance, so it could be something of a garbage like the Chinese premium, the WZ, oh, it's not even here, the Chinese premium WZ114. So we have a few premium tier 9s. We have 3 technically, 2 already released, but or technically 4, including the TL7. But we'll go over that tomorrow. So where the hell is the Chinese WZ-114? This is a piece of crap. We also have the British Chieftain prototype and the Swedish STRVK. So that's all the premium tier 9s in the game, but this is a piece of garbage. So it does look good. Yeah, accuracy looks good. DPM suck. Aim time suck. And taking a look at dispersion of this vehicle, you'll notice that it sucks. Not as bad as the Grill 15, but that's not saying much. It's still pretty garbage. But for this vehicle, hopefully the dispersion is not too bad with the 120. So, God. Let's go over the equipment. So I'll still probably put vents for the first slot with the survivability bonus, and vertical stabilizer for the firepower slot, just for the bonus of twisting your gun around and being squirrely. Rammer, of course, if you could put a rammer, you put a rammer to do the DPMs, making it better. But let's take a look at field modifications. So it's the same as the AE Phase 1 or the M103. It's a versatile heavy tank. So there's a slight difference at the top end compared to something like the breakthroughs, like the Concept 1B. So let's take a look. But first slot is always all-terrain suspension. This will decrease your durability, so make it more prone to getting detract. But you have a faster terrain resistance, comparable to faster top speed and hull traverse and other stuff. So that's a big plus. Alright, so I recommend using this. And for the second one, boosting accuracy or boosting aim time. It already has a pretty quick aim time, right? Aim time is only 2 seconds. With 100% crew, that's 1.9 seconds. So definitely boost the accuracy by dropping the aim time or increasing the aim time a little bit. So yeah, probably the first one to increase the accuracy. Always go for more view range compared to stun duration, so always try to hide anyway or use your med pack to prevent the stun. But I would rather have more view range than getting stunned more, so try to hide and cover anyways. And finally, for the last slot, better top speed or better gun traverse. Ooh, that is a well, if you are in a hull down position with 12 degrees of gun depression, then you probably would like more reverse speed to get yourself out of situations. And 17 is already pretty good, but adding to it like 19 means you reverse faster from a return fire onto your cupola. So I would think to save yourself from getting shot more by reversing quickly, I think this one is a little bit better than having faster gun traverse speed than like prevent yourself from circle strafed or something. But it doesn't have as fast of a gun traverse speed for the turret as something like the AE Phase 1. So you are more prone to being circle strafed in the T54 Heavy Tank. So how the hell would I rate this thing since we've gone through all the field modifications and equipments? If it's a premium with decent terrain resistance and dispersion for hull and turret traverse, then it might be better than the WZ-114. But then again, getting sodomized with a cactus is better than the better than WZ-114. And that thing is a piece of junk. It's a premium, so it makes more credits, but we'll talk about the TL7, which is a tank destroyer, but it should be a medium tank. So this is also a premium tank, makes more credits, but it depends. We'll talk about this tomorrow, I guess. They actually updated the tanks.gg information page for the dispersion and terrain resistance, so that's good. But compared to the WZ-114, obviously I'll play the T54 Chieftain prototype. This is not released yet, but it has a smaller cupola size, but it has a weaker hull front and about the same mobility. Close enough. So reverse speed of only 12, but then again you have a smaller cupola. It depends. This thing has more pin. The T54 has more bite to it, the 450 Alpha. Also, this doesn't get a HESH round if I remember correctly. And let's see if it does get a better HESH round. It's been a while. No, it doesn't. It gets normal high explosive. Actually a HESH round, but not the 200mm pen. Still decent, 120, but 2 APCR rounds and high pin as well. So it doesn't get the Centurion HESH rounds, but it's alright. Or the STRVK. Crap. I mean, it's a Centurion practically with the 𝘚𝘯𝘴𝘩𝘢𝘬𝘬𝘯 hull. So this thing has bonds. Huh. That's something new. Was it on the Chieftain for the bonds? No, only the STRVK has the bond stuff. Is it also available on the... I think it's also available on the WZ. Yep. So they might change it to add more bonds to earn stuff, but obviously the Chieftain prototype is not released yet, so it doesn't have the bonds making capacity. But for this vehicle, it's a tier 9 Renegade that's not as squirrely as the tier 8 counterpart. So not as squirrely because of the engine power, the top speed, and the traverse, but it packs more punch. It has more pin slightly and a faster aim time. But would I rather play with this vehicle than play with something like the WZ? Of course I will play this thing. Would I play this over the Chieftain prototype? I might. I might, just because of the 12 degrees of gun depression. That is a big difference. It's like the 𝘚𝘵𝘢𝘯𝘥 when you think about it. But if you're desperate, you can spam all the gold shell, and that will mitigate the crappy, below average AP round. If this is like a 7.5, it's like a 7. It's pretty decent. Whereas I rated the Chieftain prototype like a 6.5. Same goes for the STRVK, so this is decent of a tier 9 premium. I mean, it will piss people off on how much alpha it has, and DPM is alright. It's about the same as the AE Phase 1 with the rammer, so yeah, it's like a 7.5 out of 10. If it has good dispersion though. If it has crappy dispersion like the WZ-114, then it's a whole new can of worms, and now I don't want to think about that. So 7.5 for initial reactions, but Wargaming is running out of ideas. This should be an autoloader. Should be a conventional turret with an autoloader without a loader in the turret basket, but hey, what the hell do I know? So there you go, folks. The T54 Heavy Tank, the predecessor to the E2 and the E1 for that matter, but these all should be patent tanks with different turrets practically, but they're classified as heavies even though they're medium tanks. Speaking of which, the M103 is not as much bigger in terms of hull design as the patent. This is an obvious heavy tank, but I think it's mostly because of the turret. But then again, the hull is just about the same as a patent. Close enough, right? Well, it's bigger than a M46, M47 patent, but still. Now, they should all be medium tanks. Americans don't have super heavies. Other than the Chrysler K? No, that's not super heavy. Is it a super heavy? It's not really super heavy. It's still heavy at 60 tons, but not a super heavy. Oh, whatever. Well, there you go, folks. The T54 Heavy Tank. 7.5 out of 10. So thank you guys for watching. We'll see what this vehicle will bring in the test server. So it might be different, but for now, it's alright. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Starry, starry night. stay with eyes that know the darkness in my soul.